You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts.
Right, Chris.
All right, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good day, good night, goodbye. Hello, welcome along to Leicester Till I Die TV, LTID TV 1. Thank you for joining us. If you're watching us on video, thank you very much. And if you are listening to us via your favourite podcast platform, that's not easy to say, favourite podcast platform, there you go. Do it a bit slower, it works. Whatever that may be, thank you very much. Coming to you live on the well, not live, but coming to you on the podcast, courtesy of TalkSports Fan Network. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see there, welcome back to the Premier League. We normally do a show, me and Craig, two fans down the pub. Yeah, this is the other version, one man in his bedroom, which makes it sound like one of Craig's favourite Pornhub videos, but it's actually not. Well, it was a bedroom actually, but it's been turned into my studio stroke man cave, whichever way you want to look at it. But basically, yeah, we're back in the Premier League. Only the second time somebody that has won the Premier League and have then been relegated. Blackburn, of course, were the first. We were the second. Unlike Blackburn, we made it straight back up. Sorry, Blackburn fans. We let you win on the last day, so you stayed up. So, fair's fair. But what I thought is we've come straight back up, and isn't it fun to be back? I mean, before we even start to think about VAR, referees that can't decide what toenail colour to use before they put the boots on, brown envelopes being sent left, right and centre from Manchester down to the FA headquarters in London, allegedly. Yeah, it's fun. It's great to be back. Apparently we're going to be deducted some points. Will that be this season? Will they have made the decision by this season? Who knows? But yes, I suppose all that aside, look, it's where you need to be. It's where you want to be as a fan. So it is good to be back. And what I did, I actually asked there's five friends, and I say four very, very close ones, and Jake from West Ham. Hi, Jake. But look, I asked 5 fans of Premier League clubs that we have a long association with from this channel. Craig from Up the Cherries, who's a Bournemouth fan. Doug, it maybe have taken about 8 attempts to download Doug's video. Maybe he watches the same channel as Craig, I don't know. But Doug from the Dugout Football channel, he's a Liverpool fan. Craig, obviously a Bournemouth fan. Maisie, the lovely Maisie and her laugh from Devils United, Man United fan. Jake, as I said, from West Ham Unofficial, and Melina from Miss Melina, who is an Arsenal fan. Don't need to tell you who Jake's a fan of, do I? obviously Tottenham. But they've all done a little short 5-minute video saying welcome back to Leicester and how they think we'll get on. Now, please understand that these have been sent to me over a week because some people were very quick at sending them through. Jake, he was the first. Some people weren't so quick at sending them through. Craig, he was the last. Good news is Craig's video is only 5 minutes long. I thought it would be at least 15, and he doesn't mention Harry Redknapp once. Oh, damn, I've just done it. Damn, never mind. Boom. But yeah, got to thank them all very much. They've done these quick 5-minute videos saying what they might expect from Leicester this season. But like I say, the early ones, we had still got Enzo in charge. Enzo has obviously since gone off with 30 pieces of silver, and let's hope that he's sacked by Christmas. But we're going to start with Craig, get him out of the way, you know what I mean? And then we'll move on through the other guys. Thank you very much, and thank you to those guys who did help, Craig, Doug, Maisie, Jake, and Melina. I'm going to put the links, will be in the description below on YouTube, so please do give them a follow. Great channels, friends of this channel. Premier League, we're back. Here we go.
The Premier League is back, and we've got it all covered here on Leicester Till I Die TV. Subscribe.
Bloody hell, they're back. Leicester City are back in the Premier League. Thank you again, Chris, for inviting me on this show. To be honest, I'm pretty much a resident now with our two fans from the pub, and we definitely do chat shit. But here is my view of Leicester coming back into the Premier League. Of course, very, very unlucky to be relegated in the first place to the Championship. If we had beaten Everton, if Gary O'Neill hadn't got the lads on the beach, you would have stayed up. And that is a given. I think that is a given. However, you was relegated, and it looked like it was going to be plain sailing, to be fair, at first. At one point, being 17 points ahead, Enzo Maresca looked like he was the person who was going to guide the side back very, very quickly, back to the top flight. It should have been easier than it actually was. And to be perfectly honest, some of the performances towards the end of the season was really of a mid-table championship squad. I think Enzo, again, like Brendan Rodgers, and like I've said with Brendan Rodgers and what he did in the past, he kind of relied on previous success. There is managers out there who, when the good thing is going, they can ride the crest of a wave. Of course, Mr. Scott Parker himself did that with ourselves. 37 points from the first 15 games. We were laughing, we were joking. We thought we were pretty much up at that point. To be honest, he made a real hash of it. So it's only when things go wrong and the wheels start falling off do we actually see the quality of these managers. Enzo, of course, has left the club, and I think personally, I think it's actually a blessing in disguise for Leicester City. What isn't a blessing in disguise, though, it has to be the points deduction, which is an absolute farce. You know it, I know it, it's a joke. At the end of the day, you've got Everton being deducted points, you've got Nottingham Forest deducted points. I know you don't particularly like them, but at the same time, it is what it is. It's not fair. And then you've got Leicester, already going to be hit with something. So if the job was not hard enough, it's made even harder. There's one man for that, who's really that boils down to, and that's Richard Masters, the man that is protecting the back of Manchester City, um, and not protecting the back of the smaller clubs. He could not care less about Leicester City. He couldn't not care about less about Bournemouth, but he could care less about Manchester City and Arsenal and Chelsea and whoever. By all means, I think you will scrape it. I think you there's going to be three worse teams than Leicester in the Premier League. I think there's certain players there that will, live up to the billing. They will step up, and I'm confident you will pull through. But it's going to be a tough season. It's going to be a really tough season. It is all about finishing 17th next year for Leicester. Like we said before, can Leicester City actually really push on? No, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen again. They didn't like the title win beforehand. They've now prevented it from happening again. It's a closed boys shop. So yeah, that is my honest view on your season and how it's going to go. Who knows who the manager's going to be? If it's Scott Parker, God help you. If it is somebody like Graham Potter is a project manager, and therefore that might be the best bet. I think there's got to be a little bit of input of quality, but there is freebies out there who Leicester can pick up. I think a lot of those are going to be coming from the Championship. Freebies from the Championship is not necessarily a bad thing. They've got a point to prove. Let me know what you think. And thank you again, Chris, for having me on.
A very good evening to you and welcome back. I was about to say to West Ham Unofficial, but no, Chris has asked me to have a little chat about Leicester from the outside looking in, of course, after the Foxes were promoted back to the Premier League at the first time of asking. There was never really too much doubt about that. The Foxes went well clear, and then from my understanding, it was just pulled back a little bit closer, but got over the line in the end. I do feel for Leicester a little bit, because one thing I've noticed is that with big wins that have meant big things for the club, as in like winning the Premier League and coming back up to the Premier League, it hasn't been on Leicester's terms. Like, you've had to watch somebody else play and celebrate as a result of that. But that's just one thing I wanted to mention. In terms of Leicester next season, I think all the teams that come up are going to struggle next season, I'm going to be honest. I don't think, this season, from a Premier League perspective, it was one of the worst, honestly. The quality that was offered by Sheffield United, Burnley and Luton was practically non-existent. And in a normal, typical, well-contested, decent Premier League season, the three teams above the three teams that went down would have went down easily, if that makes sense. For goodness sake, you could have stayed up on 20 something points this season, which is just not where we want to be as a league, if I'm totally honest. And I hope Leicester come back up and are better than that. Luton finished on 26, so you could have stayed up on 27 points this season. That tells you everything you need to know. West Ham, just a short 12 years ago, went down on 43 points, for goodness sake, and now you can stay up on 27. I'm not at all bitter about that. But at the end of the day, the gap has been widened between the Premier League and the Championship, and that's just been brutally exposed in the last couple of years. Burnley were brilliant in the Championship last season, as we all know, under Vincent Kompany. They were shocking. They were absolutely shocking in the Premier League, and now it looks like Vincent Kompany's off to Bayern Munich. But that's the gap that's got to be bridged between the Championship and the Premier League. And I think it's widened in recent years. And it's a huge challenge. And look, I don't know, I'm going to be honest, the implications of the financial fair play rulings that are going to hit Leicester quite hard, I'm hearing, whether it's points deductions or whatever, or how severe they are. That's not ideal for Leicester whatsoever. If I'm totally honest, starting on the back foot is not going to do them any good. And I've heard rumours of Chelsea are sniffing around the manager, Enzo Maresca, who has brought good times back to the King Power. So at the end of the day, things aren't looking too good, are they? From the outside looking in, there's a lot of things that are pointing negatively. Jamie Vardy is the first thing I think of when I think of Leicester. Is he going to be at the club next season? Can he do it in the Premier League again at the grand old age of whatever he is? There's questions to be answered. I can't answer them. I haven't watched Leicester week in, week out over the majority of that Championship season, but the Championship is a hard league to get out of, and Leicester did it at a canter. I think it's fair to say a little bit of a rocky moment, but controlled throughout the majority of the campaign. The big test comes when you step up back to the Premier League again. Ipswich are going to struggle. Southampton are going to struggle as well. I don't see any of the three sides being anywhere above 15th, if I'm honest. I really don't. I think the gap has been widened between the two leagues, and I'll be genuinely shocked if any of the three teams that come up aren't in a relegation battle next season. That's just my opinion. I think investment is going to be needed in all three clubs to get themselves to the level that they need to be. They're going to need a bit of luck along the way. Whether VAR is going to be involved, I'd expect it to be, if I'm honest. Don't hold your breath on that being taken off. So look, it is what it is. From a Leicester point of view, it's going to be a hard season. It's going to be a really, really hard season, I think, for you boys. And listen, I hope you're better than the three teams that came up, because it made it utterly boring this season, if I'm totally honest. So my one plea is for the three teams that come up, please be better than last year. If you're worse than the three teams that came up last year, then there are some serious problems. There isn't too many expectations to live up to over the last couple of years in terms of teams that have come up into the Premier League. But look, yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I think it's incredibly hard to predict where Leicester are going to be. As I said, I think all three teams will be in a relegation battle towards the end of the season, and it's just who comes out on top. I'm not entirely sure. It's really difficult to predict, but yeah, I'm expecting all the teams to come up to struggle in the Premier League next season, and even more reinforced if Leicester have financial fair play implications put against them. And who knows with that? That's a farce, isn't it? Who knows whether points deductions are looming, coming or going for Leicester. Left in limbo over the summer, and I'm sure you'll get your fate at some point. But yeah, any serious points deduction puts you massively on the back foot. And then really struggling. That's it from me. Thanks for watching this video. Subscribe to Leicester Till I Die TV if you haven't already. Thanks, Chris, for asking me to do this. I hope I've shedded some light on probably most fans of the Premier League view of the teams coming back up this season. Just be better than last season, to be honest. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is a video for Leicester Till I Die, Chris, a really good friend of mine. And as you guys know, I often watch this channel, and I am an honorary Foxes fan. Although I support Arsenal, I'm often supporting my friends who support Leicester City. And I want to say first and foremost, congratulations to Leicester City as they were promoted again to the Premier League, a return to the top fight for 2024-2025 season after Leeds were beaten at QPR. Leicester sealed their return at their first attempt coming back into the Premier League for this upcoming season. And I think a lot of the credit has to go to Enzo Marchesa, first and foremost. I know at this moment, as I'm recording this video, he's now on a move to Chelsea, which is a whole different conversation. But the Foxes' possession-based style has flourished, and the impact of Enzo Maresca on the team has been really good to Leicester's success and influential in Leicester's success. I think they overcame a late stumble early in the season. And some of Leicester's notable players that you have to mention this season is their defensive back line and the goalkeepers. This season, Leicester flourished in the league. I think some of Leicester's main players were Maresca's first three signings, Hermansen, Connor Cody, and Harry Winks, strengthened the core and Leicester's spine. And it kind of showed where the manager wanted to take this Leicester team. Also, in terms of the goalkeeper is required to move a bit forward into the defensive line and become an additional outfield player when the team are in possession, and easy on the ball, as well as, dominating your box, controlling your box. I think no championship goalkeeper has attempted more than the passes of Hermansen. Connor Cody has been a really good player in Leicester's defense. We know Connor Cody is previously in the Premier League, and Connor Cody helps dictate play from deep in terms of being a solid center back at the defensive back line and to keep the shape of their defensive back line. And then when Connor Cody got injured, we saw Vestergaard step up for the opportunity to shine for Leicester. And He did have a good, debut under Maresca. And he, made it hard for Maresca to drop him between him and Connor Cody. I think he eventually started every single match except 4 this season for Leicester, if you're looking at the stats as it is. And his comfort and possession on the ball, on and off the ball, and he was an integral player in Maresca's system for Leicester this season. Going on into the 24-25 season, I know Leicester are faced with a points deduction. I believe it's a 10-point deduction. But since it's earlier on in the season, right now, Leicester fans, enjoy the promotion back into the Premier League. It's a good feel to have you guys back. And with regards to the points deduction, I don't think it's something you should be as concerned about, especially since it's in the beginning of the season. I think Leicester can still play on and perform the way that we know them to. And to give teams a run for their money. We know Jamie Vardy likes to score against us. We know the departure of Maddison may have affected Leicester's performances, but then we have 12 goal scoring Kieran Drewsbury Hall. We see his performances being a central creative outlet for Leicester after the departure of James Maddison, and creating I think 14 assists this season and 12 goals for Leicester. And then Jamie Vardy, 16 goals in the championship. He's just an incredible player. I think maybe it might be his last season for Leicester. The older he gets, you're wondering whether he's going to continue playing on or whether he's going to retire. But with regards to the points deduction, I don't think it's going to be much of an issue or too much for Leicester to bear. I think since it's earlier on in the season, I still think Leicester will perform well and have the ambition to bring the club back to where they belong, and also the fans deserve it too. I mean, Leicester fans, you guys stick through thick and thin, whether it's the manager changes, whether it's changes within the club, within the management, or changes within players. You guys don't turn on your managers, and one of the most loyal fan bases you guys have, which is something I admire, and you guys deserve to seal promotion back into the Premier League. It's that simple belief that Leicester deserve to be back where they belong and where they should be, which is what fueled the motivation in the players, but also in the fans getting behind the team. And this season, it's going to be interesting to see how well Arsenal do up against Leicester. It's not always been an easy ground for us to go to, the King Power. I also want to give mention to Hamza Chowdhury, the Leicester defender, the youngster. He's been getting game time this season that just passed, and I hope he continues to play well for you guys. I know now that Leicester are in doubts on the managerial position-wise, since Maresca has been appointed as Chelsea manager. No idea how that's going to go, or if they're going to keep him for long, but that's a whole different conversation for another day. But I think Maresca does deserve a lot of credit in terms of bringing the unity between the players, the club, and the fans, and also the style of football that he plays. You can tell there was a clear identity in what he wanted to bring into Leicester, and it showed that the style did have success to have Leicester promoted. And his playing style, his playing experience, his work in the transfer window last summer, the players he brought in proved masterful. I already mentioned the likes of Dewsbury Hall having a significant influence, the likes of Jamie Vardy, and now Jamie Vardy's, I think, 37, so I think this might be your last season with Leicester Vardy. But it's someone who epitomes Leicester and shows what the club, the values and ethos of the club, and who they want to be. He still performs at the highest level, so there's no doubt for me that he's definitely going to be an Achilles heel to Arsenal and to any Premier League team that Leicester comes up against. I'm sure Leicester will put up a good fight this season. So I do want to say, Chris, and to all the Leicester fans watching this, congratulations on your promotion, 24-25 season. Welcome back to the Premier League, where you guys belong, and I'm looking forward to facing you guys at the King Power Stadium. And that's all for me. Adios.
Hi, so for Leicester last season, I think there was a fantastic side, a very well-built team. The team was very strong for the Championship, having Winks. I think Wout played very well as well. I think the back line was so strong, and Jamie Vardy, being at such an age he is, ripping up the Championship, it's just a beautiful thing to see, looking at it from a neutral point of view. But next season, coming into the Premier League, I think it could be a little bit of a struggle for Leicester. The only reason, I think they're a great side. If there wasn't certain aspects, I would definitely think that would be easily out of that relegation spot. But one thing you need to consider is, at the moment, Leicester haven't got a manager. Enzo has moved to Chelsea. I know one link is our former player Ruud van Nistelrooy, and Ruud was fantastic at PSV, and he's great at developing youth, so he's definitely an option I think Leicester will be very well with, and as well that the potential point deduction. Do I agree with the point deduction? No, when there's obviously other teams at the moment who are going through worse things at this moment in time. But I do think that if you don't have that point deduction and you've got a team that actually suits the side rather than a team, a manager who's there maybe for winning aspects, then I think that it'll come better overall. I think it probably going into the Championship, obviously from a Leicester point of view, you don't have a lot more better, but I think it's probably put the probably a kick up the owner's bum. As I think he has had a lot going on, obviously personal aspects, but I think obviously running the football club, he's seen what it's like for the Championship point of view, and he knows that Leicester have been a fantastic team in the Premier League. They've been in the Champions League as well, so all they need to do now, Leicester, for me, get a good manager in who's great at building teams, who's great at developing the youth, which, as I've said, Ruud is definitely a good appointment. And I know that there is a couple of managers who are also linked at this moment in time for Leicester. But obviously that's just a waiting game at this moment in time. If they do that, bring some youth through, hungry youth, build the team around Dewsbury Hall, because Dewsbury Hall is a magnificent player. Keep hold of him, develop players around him, build the team around him, and I do think Leicester will be absolutely okay. Because when you're looking at it team by team basis, there's a lot worse teams at this moment in time than Leicester. And hopefully, if the point deduction is to happen, hopefully it's not a very strong point deduction, because we've seen Everton have managed to come up from an 8-point deduction. They haven't got relegated. So, and I do think that Leicester is very well at working as a team. So let's see how the season goes for Leicester. And I do wish Leicester and the fans the very best of seasons. As I said, you're a great asset to the Premier League. So I hope that you do stay up. And obviously I'll be looking at working with Chris some more this season on his channel. So thank you very much, and best of luck.
Hello everybody on Leicester Till I Die. It is Douglas Horn from the Dugout Football Channel. You know who I am. You'll have seen me loads of times on Chris's channel, giving you a perspective of what I think Leicester are going to do in the Premier League next season. First of all, congratulations on coming back up. I think that is the first thing to say. I think it's absolutely fantastic to see you guys back in the top flight. I think, if we're being honest, you were the best team last season. I know there was a stage in the season where you were 17 points clear, but I always had a feeling that you would get over the line very, very soon. And then look, congratulations to yourselves, Ipswich, and obviously Southampton, who are coming back into the Premier League. But circumstances have changed ever so slightly. I know with obviously the impending managerial departure of Enzo Maresca to Chelsea. I will get into that as well. How do I see you guys doing? With obviously the ongoing debate on whether you get a points deduction or not. It is looking like you're going to get a points deduction. We don't know what that will be yet, but what I will say about that, it did galvanise Everton, it did galvanise Nottingham Forest. So I think from that point of view, I think it could galvanise Leicester. I honestly do. I don't think it's going to be as many as 15 points or 12 points that people are discussing. If it's 6, then I think you've done really, really well there. But then again, Everton are getting punished, Nottingham Forest are getting punished, you guys are getting punished. But yeah, nothing said about the 115ers of Manchester City, and obviously Chelsea is another one as well. Look, I think the expectations next season is definitely to avoid relegation. I think that was the first point of view when you did come back into the top flight back in 2014, 2015. I think that was the safest thing to say. And then look what happened the previous year. Obviously, you winning the Premier League was one of the best stories in Premier League history. It really, really was. And then further down the line, you won the FA Cup under Brendan Rodgers, of course, which was very, very good to see. You should never have went down. I'll say this now. I still think that Leicester team that went down, there was enough talent in that team to stay up, and unfortunately, you just gave yourselves too much to do. Unfortunately, Maresca. Look, I've got to be honest. I am very, very surprised he is going to Chelsea. I think Chelsea are a bit like Watford at the moment. They seem to be playing stick or twist with the managers that they've been shafting in and out. Poch is gone. I've got to be honest, Todd Bowley doesn't have a clue what he's doing, so I don't rate Maresca's chances highly, I'll be honest. But he is a good manager. He's good to be around the younger players. I think that's why maybe Chelsea are going for him. But a 5-year contract, that's what's been decided, a 5-year contract. So are Chelsea going to give him time? I'm not sure. I am not sure if they will give him time or not. As I said, as far as expectations are concerned, I think you do need to avoid relegation. I do think you need to avoid relegation. It isn't ideal with obviously the managerial situation as well. But you know what? Some of the names that are being mentioned, Carlos Corberán, I think that'd be a good managerial post. I think it would be a good opportunity for him to manage in the Premier League as well. Some of the other names, I know David Moyes has been touted. Maybe Graham Potter, maybe another potential shout as well. But I think who Leicester do get, I think you will have a good amount of money to spend in the window. I don't see any transfer embargo. So I think out of the 3 to potentially come up, I think Leicester have probably got the best opportunity to actually play in another year for the Premier League. Look, I think the 3 teams that came up last season, Sheffield United, Luton and Burnley, I think Luton out of the 3 were definitely the better team, to say the very, very least. So I think Leicester could do better than those 3. I really, really do. But as I said, I think the expectations is definitely to stay in the Premier League. But looking forward to seeing what you guys can do. And welcome back to the top flight.
It's coming home, it's coming home, it's coming. Football's coming home, it's coming home, it's coming home, it's coming. Football's coming home.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.